Hi there, Spencer here again. I thought today we would go over how to load and unload large format film if you've never done it. It might sound kind of daunting. Maybe you're at 35 millimeter or 120, we're going to move up to either 4x5, 8x10. So I thought I'd just kind of go over what I'm doing and hopefully it helps you. So basically we need a couple things. It's real simple. You have your film holder and you can get these used all different places, or you can buy them new from B&H, but they're kind of expensive. Last time I checked, they're like $200 for one of these things. So I bought this used from a reliable, supposedly place that they said the tape and everything was light tight, and I paid $100 a piece. So they can be expensive, but check the different forums and things. You might be able to find them used. Big thing is just try to make sure they're light tight, and you might want to test them. If you have like a piece of photo paper that you can put in here, if you have a regular darkroom, and then check it, leave it out and then put it in your darkroom and see if it comes out. I didn't have that, so I just took their word for it, which is kind of scary, and started shooting. And the first time I got started with a large format, I just put a piece of film and used in each holder as I went, and they were fine. So now what I do is I have 4 of these, and I just use usually two of the same ones, and then I have 2 as a backup, so that's what I've done. So that's your film holders, and you're gonna need some film. It goes much better with film. So I've been using Ilford. Don't have anything bad to say about it. I did start with Delta 100, and with Delta, with me, since I'm down here in Florida in high contrast situations, I just found that Delta's curve was more like this, and I was either blowing out the highlights or I was blowing in the shadows or plugging the shadows. So I found this FP4, and this is actually FP4 Plus, and the curve is more of an S type of curve. So this has been wonderful for me because I can hold the highlights, I can hold the shadows, and I use that PyroCat right now is what I've been using, or D76. I just did the last video we've done is the developing video. So if you get a chance to watch that, you might want to go back and check that one out. But anyway, so here's your film, and here's your film holder. So basically that's all that we're really going to need to load the film. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reorient the camera, and then we'll get you guys like a tabletop view so you can kind of see how we're going to set this all up. Okay, so here we are, so you guys can see exactly how we're going to do this. When I was starting out, I didn't understand how, I thought, oh, there's just film in here. I didn't understand the first thing about how these are actually put together. So I'm going to show you what you're going to find, because everything you're going to do from here on out is going to be in your dark room or dark space. Could be a bathroom, closet, whatever you got you can make dark, or you can use a changing bag or a changing tent, which is what I use. And the changing tent, by the way, I've got the Harrison, the giant one. I can lay all this stuff out with if I'm using my Chrome drum, I got plenty of space to work, so I really like that one. If you're looking for something for 8x10. 4x5 and the other formats aren't so bad because they're a lot smaller. Okay, so the first thing you're going to find is you're going to have both of these items in your dark space, and you're going to want these have like little locks on them. And so what I do is basically I just pull one of these out part of the way. I don't pull it all the way out, because then if I had this all the way out and try to get this back in the dark, it might be tough. So I just kind of leave it hanging like so. So you can see it's still there. So we have that. And you're going to find, like, for example, I'm right-handed. So I found for me this orientation is easier for me than the other way around, which you'll see why in a minute. So we'll just kind of set that off to the side for a little bit. All right, now as far as the film box goes, when you buy your film, it's going to come like this, and it'll have like some Scotch tape on both ends, obviously to keep it shut. So when you get this in your dark space, what I usually do is in the light, I'll just cut the little tape. That's no big deal. Nothing's going to happen. At least it hasn't to me. So I don't open it in the light. I just cut, just slit the tape. So then what I'll do is, all right, so this is in my dark space. So then I just take this cover and I just kind of put it over here because eventually I got to put the box back together again. So if I kind of have the pieces laid out, or sometimes what I'll do is I'll put the bottom in here. So you kind of be mindful of where your pieces to your box are. Here's the internal cardboard box. So you can kind of see the bottom there, and then we got this black kind of cover on top. So this is going to come out, and you can kind of just however you want to do it. If you want to put that in the cover over here, that's fine. Now inside of here, here's a black bag. This is the bottom of the box. So I'll just set that over there. So inside of here, it will be the film, but not only will the film be in here, you got a couple of other things. You've got these two pieces of cardboard, and the film will be sandwiched in between these two pieces of cardboard. So when this is brand new package, obviously you're going to pull it out. This is going to be a lot thicker, full of film, and that's it. So obviously there's no film in this, that's why we're going to be able to demonstrate this. So in your dark space, what I do is I kind of shimmy this out. Now another thing I should tell you is a little tip. Make sure you wash your hands. I know it sounds stupid, but if you get any oils or anything on your fingertips and you start playing with this and trying to get it in here, you might get some fingerprints on your film. So I just use some nice soap and make sure your hands are absolutely completely dry. So I use like a paper towel, and then I just kind of go like this until they're fully dry. So once they're dry, and you have this now laid out in your dark bag or your dark tent like this. So what I'll do is I would pull up one side of the cardboard, and I just try to work with the edges. So I pull one sheet out, and here's our sheet of film for today. And I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a notch that's in here. I've cut this in here. Now what you'll feel on your film is the notch code, and that's going to tell you which side the emulsion's on. You got to remember, this is all dark. You can't see what you're doing. So if sometimes I have to go around like this very gently until I find it. And usually once you know how they've oriented the film in the bag, you're good. So basically I always try to hang on to it by the edges, and I feel for the notch code. Now, the notch code, you want to go like this. If you're going to do it like I do, if you're right-handed, and you've got the dark slide to the left of yourself, like I do here. So when we get this in here, the notch is going to be over on down in here. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your piece of film that you're very carefully hanging on to. You're going to open up the little door here, this little flap, and there's two like little rails right in here that actually holds the film. So I had to practice this for a while, and I'll talk about what I did there in a minute. So basically I just open this little door, and I kind of get this started. And what I do is I got fairly wide fingers, so I can feel this to get it started. And then I kind of push the little door down, and then I very gently slide this in, like so. And there's a little finger notch right here, and this is where you can kind of push in on it to make sure it's there. You'll feel it. You close the little door, you're going to take this end of the dark slide, and once the dark slide is engaged into this little gate right here, you're going to turn your lock to make sure that it's locked, and now it can't come out. So that's how, and now, so now you got this loaded. So what you're going to do now is you're going to turn this over, pull the second one out, take another sheet out, and do the exact same thing. And now to put this all back, you're just going to take your bag, you're going to kind of shimmy it so the film goes back in there, fold this over. Now we know what order the box pieces are in, because we put them in that way when we were working with it, right? So here's the bottom. And by the way, if you get confused between the two inner core and the outer box, I always feel for the sticker on the back, so that will tell you what is the bottom when you're in the dark. So if I go, okay, and I put the sticker towards me, I know I've got the bottom of the box. Then I've got the other one that's not going to have any stickers on it, this is the inner core. So you'll take your bag with your film in it and you just put it in here like so. This whole thing's going to get folded over. You're going to get put back in here just like so. And then here's the top of the box. Now it doesn't matter which way it goes, but you know, if I'm attention to detail or got one of them ADD things, I don't know. But I feel again for the sticker. So I know the sticker's on this end, the sticker's on this end, so when I do this, now this is safe to bring back out into light and to store it. What I generally do with my film is I store it in a black garbage leaf bag that's black, and I rinse wrap it a couple times. That's been fine. Some people refrigerate their film. I don't, because I'm shooting on a semi-consistent basis, so I might go through, there's 25 sheets in here. I might go through this in a couple months. And so that's why I don't worry about really refrigerating or freezing the film. So if you're not shooting as much as that, then you might want to look into that. So that's about it. And now that's loading. So unloading is just the reverse. So again, in your dark tent, you'd have your Chrome drum over here, or whatever container you're going to put it into. And since we're talking about large format, that's what I use. Some people have the, I think it's called a mod, the mod system. Other people have the, I'm trying to think of the I think it's a German company that it's real fancy. The name escapes me. I will look it up and I will put it in the video. Jobo, that's it. Jobo, J-O-B-O, I believe, or Jobo. So, anyway, you're gonna have your container here. Now, to get the film out of here in your dark room, you're gonna have this. Now, people get freaked out when I tell them I use a toothpick with this. And don't worry, it is not scratched my film, it is not giving me problems, but you'll see why I use it in a minute. Okay, so basically I'm going to unlock the little dark slide, pull this out, part way again. So then I'm going to open up the little gate. A lot of times the film gets stuck down in here and I cannot get it out with my fingers. It just doesn't work for me. So I use one of these little toothpicks. I very gently use it just to raise just the edge of it up so I can get my finger in there. I don't start, putting half, and I don't start doing this because that would really damage things. So if I just put just the little tip of it under there just to get it started, I put this over here. I then feel for this, pull this out. Again, another tip is I don't pull up too steep, because these little rails will damage the side of your film, which has happened to me. So I try to pull it out straight out, like so. And then depending on the container you're putting in, like I'm putting it in the Chrome, I try to gently fold it kind of like into a taco shape, and then slide it into the drum, and then put my caps on, and it's ready to go. And something I do when these are empty and I'm ready to fill them is I will take a rocket blower or even a vacuum and just go over it to make sure that all the dust and anything else that might have got in here is gone. So, and here's another tip. You guys probably already know some of this, but I'll just go over it anyway. Is I numbered my slides, so when I'm out shooting, I can say, oh yeah, I shot, in this case 3 and number 4. So I used a thing called a P-touch to do that. If you want to call them A, B, C, D, whatever works for you. And then when I have my little sheets of paper you guys have seen in my other videos, then I'll say on holder number 4, I was here and I shot this exposure and this was the highlights and the shadows, so I kind of have that information. Now when I shoot, this is loaded in the camera. You notice this is white, this side's black, this part here. So when I go to put this back in, I just simply put the black side out, and then that tells me this side is now exposed, this side is not. So that kind of keeps me straight, so I don't accidentally, try to process an empty sheet of film or something. So anyway, so that's basically all there is to loading and unloading large format film. All right, as always, I hope that helped. It's pretty simple. Something that I would recommend you do to practice is cut yourself. This is a plain sheet of copy paper that I cut down to 8 by 10. And I just put a little fake notch in there. And obviously you'll have your film holder. And just practice in the daylight, pulling this out, putting this in. Do that for a while, however long it takes you when you get comfortable. And then put these pieces in your dark tent, or if you're going to have a dark room, or if you have a changing bag, whatever it is, then practice in there. And you'll find, even though it's easy out here, you might have to get the feel for it. So, for example, even though I have a dark tent, when I change the film and my arms are inside the dark tent, I still close my eyes, because when I'm doing this, I'm visualizing pulling this out, putting this back, putting this in, and that's what works for me. But if you practice with a plain sheet of paper, I didn't sacrifice any film. I used a plain sheet of paper. Here's some good news. I found out that loading the film for me was easier than the paper, because the film, since it's film, or like a plastic kind of consistency, it slid into the grooves much easier than this paper did, because this is got a little bit rougher texture. So it might seem a little bit more difficult with the paper, which will make the film really easy. So that's what I did. And then of course, once you get comfortable with it, the first time I loaded one of these, it took me about an hour. I was scared to death. I don't know why, but I was intimidated by this box that's film. If all of a sudden it got one little piece of light, the whole box was going to go, it was going to be ruined. And I was a nervous wreck. So I practiced one night on table with this sheet of paper, and just take your time if you're new to this. So again, now you know how the film box works, so you know what to expect when you're going to pull this apart in your dark space. But again, just take your time. I don't care if it takes you 2 hours to load this. Each time it gets easier and easier. So this first time it took me an hour. So now I can do one in about 5 minutes. I don't rush. I take my time, make sure I got one piece of film. I've had them sometimes stick together. So I just, kind of have to feel the edges of the, what's inside the box to kind of fan them out a little bit. And that seams out to make sure I got one piece of film that goes in, and make sure that's seated properly. So, because the last thing you want to do is have something happen here, and then you go out and you shoot it, and you don't know that there's a problem. And then you go to develop it, and you pull it out of your, after you've spent all this time going to the place to shoot the subject, whatever it is. Now you've spent the time and money to develop it, and pull it out and you go, oh geez, what happened? So take your time doing this. Again, it does get really easy. 4x5 is so much easier because, again, you have the cassette's so much narrower that anybody can get them in there depending on the size of your, the width of your hand. So, or however you guys decide to do it. Yeah, so that's about it. So it's pretty simple. Yeah, if you have any questions, please comment below. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Hopefully this helped. If you might consider liking and subscribing if you like this content. And as always, we'll see you next time.